Star Wars The Old Republic, and what the hell am I up to now? Well, in a previous video, I complained at length, not to be taken too seriously, I complained a little bit about my mercenary healer. I love, I mean, I like all the themes in Star Wars, like Sith and Jedi's. I have a particular liking for the bounty hunters, not just the Fets, not just Mandalorian bounty hunters, but there's Cad Bane, there's Dengar, etc. I dress up a lot of my characters as bounty hunter types. My agents tend to wear bounty hunting type outfits that are reminiscent of Cad Bane and all sorts of stuff like that. My smugglers. It's part of the fun of the game to me. So I got tired of not having flamethrower on my mercenary healer. And yeah, look, it didn't hurt the class at all. Flamethrower was never a part of a mercenary DPS rotation, and I never went into an operation and tried to use flamethrower on a boss or anything like that. But it was part of the flavor of the class to me. I'd be running around doing dailies and whatever on my mercenary healer, and it was fun to use it against melee enemies run up to me and I light them on fire with my flamethrower. And to me, the Mandalorian shock trooper, and that's what the bounty hunter class in this game really is to me, the Mandalorian shock trooper. They gotta have jetpacks. They gotta have flamethrowers. So when he took it away, I found myself getting bored with it. I mean, it's a little thing. It doesn't, but it's to me the aesthetics count. I really play for fun. I wouldn't enjoy myself. I log into the game. So I found that I was playing my power tech a whole lot more. But I'm feeling the lack of my mercenary. I like to have a lot of Mandalorian fun in the game. So what happened is this. Yeah, this is an operative. And what the hell is he doing in Mandalorian armor? Well, if you've ever played any of the KOTOR games, maybe you're familiar with the Mandalorian Marauder. They were a stealth character, Mandalorian stealth characters. And what did they use? Vibroblades. So it's very suggestive of the Imperial Agent operative. And of course, their armor was different. They wore Neo Crusader armor, but I'm not going to let that stop me. It's easy to rationalize if you want to. Time has passed, and they're not using the Neo Crusader armor anymore. What I did not use my absolutely favorite Mandalorian chest in the game, which is the Rishi Reputation armor chest, which has a really great jetpack on it, with actually something that looks like a Z6 rocket almost on it, and it's got a shoulder cape, very Boba Fett-esque. I love that chest. However, I didn't feel it was appropriate for the Mandalorian Marauder. I like this chest here. It has a very minimalistic little jetpack on it there. And of course, I've got to use my jetpack mounts when I'm going to be a Mandalorian. I have too much fun. So anyway, outfit designer, the savior of all things aesthetic in the game for me. You could run into a problem with this. There's potentially two problems. One is, now armor weight is no longer a concern with outfit designer. A great deal of armor is adaptive, so armor weight does not enter the picture. And in any case, even if something is heavy, light, medium, it doesn't matter. Outfit designer will ignore armor weight, but it will not ignore class restrictions. So make sure before you buy any armor to obtain any kind of look you may want to get for your character, make sure that not only do you meet the level requirement, but make sure you meet the class requirements. And you will find a good deal of like heavy armor helmets and heavy armor chests will be class restricted, and it may shut you out. Another potential problem is that you can even do this. You can even get a Mandalorian look on a Republic character, but sometimes armor will have a different look on the Republic side than it does on the Imperial side. It's not universal anymore. Sometimes adaptive armor looks the same on each side, but not always. Not always. That's not a rule. And I recently saw a very weird incident of this. Now we can, the newer companions can now use actual gear instead of having their fixed appearance. So instead of having 1,000 Lana Benicos running around looking identical, you can now, for instance, Lana Benico can now have her own gear. So I did that with my Lana Benicos. I got, like Sith-looking and Jedi-looking clothes for them, but it was a little bit difficult in the way for the Sith look. Not impossible, because of cartel market stuff and sometimes the adaptive gear, but I found that strangely enough, even some adaptive gear has the Republic appearance for Lana Benico. I mean, for my sorcerer who's using Lana Benico as a companion, one of his companions, I put a helmet on her, and it defaulted to the Republic appearance, which I found kind of odd since Lana Benico is a Sith. But anyway, you may run into that. So let's say you want to take a Republic character and make him look Mandalorian. It's something you might have to really work through to overcome. So this chest here, most of all, this is adaptive armor that you can get from the Alliance crates. At 65, you do heroics, you get Alliance crates, you turn in the crates to the Alliance specialists. They give you the commander's share, and you get this adaptive gear. And that adaptive gear does have the same appearance on each faction side. Some of this gear exists in other forms in the game. These boots here, they do still occasionally drop. Level 53, they came out with the Rise of the Hutt cartel. They'll be probably expensive since they're kind of a rare drop now, since you've got to be within a very narrow range to get these gear drops anymore at level sync. You know, if you're slightly too high of a level, you will not get these as a drop. So you really can't farm these things too much anymore. So they appear much more rarely on the GTN. But many of these things appear in these Alliance crates. This helmet does, because that helmet you used to get on Yavin and Ziost. These, the greaves here, these, the leg plates, same thing. They used to be Yavin and Ziost gear, which you can't get anymore. They come in Alliance crates. This chest here, which I quite like for this Mandalorian Marauder project of mine, is the Thobium Onslaught, I believe. Yes, there's many versions of this with different names and slightly different level restrictions and different quality levels. So you could probably find a cheap green version of this. I found an orange version that I bought. The other versions of this, which will have different names most likely, have slightly different dye properties. They have different colors by default and probably react a little differently to dyes. I found that same thing with helmets. There's several versions of this helmet out there, some of green, premium, cheap versions at various levels, and they all react a little differently to dyes. But that is basically what I have done. And I noticed that some people on the forums, some fans of the Bounty Hunter and Mandalorian theme, they want to know why they can't use a rifle on their Bounty Hunter. You know, they want to go the Boba Fett movie route of having the rifle. They prefer that to the pistol, and of course you really can't do that. But if it doesn't offend your sensibilities, and you could actually have fun on a Imperial agent, you could have a rifle as a Mandalorian. I don't really like Vanguard class that much aesthetically, but you can do it that way too. And of course my sniper, you can do a sniper like I've done and give him a Mandalorian outfit and have a Mandalorian sniper. But I thought, since I had just made a video on how to obtain a Mandalorian look and how easy it is to do nowadays, I thought I would do a video on this as I continue to do everything I can in this game to have fun. So I'm going to go continue my explorations and questing and so forth and having fun, and I hope you have as much fun as I do in this game.